Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Lunar transmission. I am Feno, otherwise known as Kirk, or I suppose it's the opposite way, really. My real name's Kirk, fake name Feno, and I'm joined here by Light, or Adrian, as he's actually known.
Hello.
Now, I must admit, part of the reason that I chose you, and it's a very important reason, is you have one of those funny accents that people will like. It's great.
Oh yes, I do.
Don't talk like that.
Okay.
Use your real voice. You're trying to pick up ladies here, all right? They're gonna
Am I?
swoon when they hear you. Yeah.
I mean,
course.
that's presuming that anyone will listen to this. Anyone human. I mean, if you're not human and you are listening to this, hit me up.
One girl we know will probably listen to it. I know that.
Your mum.
Wherever she. yeah. I'll send it to my mom. That'd be a weird one. My mom starts hitting you up like, hey.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like I like your accent. Where are you from? Does it take much to like get a plane from there?
yeah, hook me up.
Oh, it'd be great.
Oh no, I'm gonna become your stepfather.
Oh god, that'd be weird.
Oh no.
How old are you, anyways? I don't actually know that.
Yeah, I turned 20 this year.
My stepfather would be younger than me because I'm 23 now.
Yeah.
Oh
Hello,
man,
son.
that would be horrible. I think there was a TV show. I think it was either Saturday Night Live or Mad TV who had a skit like that where it was like two kids talking to their father who, you know, revealed his girlfriend who was also soon to be his wife, and she was like significantly younger than even his kids were.
Oh no.
And she was just like, no, it's fine, guys, you can call me mom. And they're like, no, we can't really.
Oh.
God, that'd be so incredibly awkward.
Oh yeah.
Anyways.
Enough about this fucking Oedipus bullshit.
What, are you saying my mom's not good enough for you now?
No, I'm saying that your mum isn't good enough for you. You're not good enough for your mum.
What? Wait, how did you turn that around?
Because I said Oedipus, and that's what
true.
that's all about.
That's true. So really, you just made like an incorrect reference more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it was incorrect.
It definitely was incorrect. Let me
Okay,
clear
good.
that. Let me
Good.
clear the air on that right now. It's
Good.
definitely an incorrect reference. There's no Oedipus complex here.
Good. I'm glad. Really.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. I mean, I do have to clear the air because I am from Georgia, which is in the south or southern United States. So, you never know. You never know down here. It's actually not that true. I mean, nice. I'm stumbling a lot now. It's great. While Georgia is in the south, like it really isn't that redneck. I mean, most people down here, my dad not included, they really don't have like deep southern accents, and a lot of the sort of traditional cliches of the South don't really apply to most of Georgia. Once you get into like northern Georgia, it kind of changes a bit to be a little more like that, because you start getting closer to like Tennessee and South Carolina, places like that. Yeah, and then it definitely does get a little more that way. But when you're around Atlanta, it's pretty, I don't know how I would describe it. It's pretty normal, you know, as opposed to all those fucking people in the South who are just absolute weirdos.
It's not that much inbreeding.
Yeah, you know, just a little bit of inbreeding here and there.
There's
but it's
a
mostly
significant lack of inbreeding.
Yeah, it's mostly, you know, recreational.
Mm.
Right. Actually, oh my god, I just realized I do have one thing that is very southern in terms of a story to tell.
Okay.
And it's great. It's not relating. It's not related to inbreeding at all.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Because you had me worried there for just a moment.
No.
Quite
It's
a
fine.
segue.
It's fine. It's fine. So after my dad and my mom had split, and both of us, like, both groups pretty much lost the house that we were previously living in. My dad, he got sort of it was like a double wide trailer. It didn't really seem like a trailer at all. It looked like just a small house, and he had this big yard. It had like a horse pen, although he didn't have any horses or anything like that. It was mostly just where his dog stayed. But at one point, it got just like, that whole pen was completely just, it filled with mud.
Ooh.
Yeah. And my cousin, Jeremy, because his dad was living with my dad at the time. Well, okay, so technically that would make... I say he's my cousin Jeremy, but he's not actually. It's just my dad and his dad were really close, and they pretty much just considered it that way, if that makes any sense.
Bloodless family, whatever you'd call it. Yeah.
Pretty much. Anyway, so the two dads were living together, and Jeremy, as a result, stayed around there quite a lot. And since I had to visit my dad every weekend, because that was like how it worked out with the courts or whatever. Anyways, so when it got run, or like mud was just all over the place, Jeremy decided to do the most stereotypically redneck thing possible, which is that he would take his dad's Jeep and go mudding. Oh yeah, we'd go mudding.
Was it a camo colored Jeep?
What's that? Oh no! It was like bright red, I think.
Oh,
it pretty much looked camo by the end of it, though.
Did he have some kind of camouflage on him?
I think maybe, I don't even know how you describe it, but like the sort of like black tarp that Jeeps have to cover the top bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was maybe like slightly camo patterned, but I don't quite remember. But anyway, so he and we would get in that Jeep and go mudding, and I'm around this point, I'm probably like...
Wait, is that what you call it?
What's that?
Going mudding?
Yeah. Anyways, so I'm at this point, I'm maybe like 7 or 8, and he's probably, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. Old enough to drive.
Oh.
Anyways.
Old enough to drive a Jeep.
Absolutely. And so every now and then, his dad and my dad would kind of like catch us, and they'd come out and they'd get angry at Jeremy for doing that with me, and Jeremy in turn was always annoyed because like they didn't really care when he did it, but they cared when he did it with me. And he was also really annoyed that his dad would never let him put on like the 4-wheel drive so that he could go a lot faster.
This 12-year-old in a Jeep going mudding with a 6-year-old.
Honestly, he was actually, I'm probably forgetting what the actual age gap was. It was probably like closer to 15 or so.
Okay. I mean, that's a bit better.
A bit better, yeah. So I had forgotten about this for a while, but I remembered it. And I brought it up to my dad, like, why did you, get angry? Like, I mean, sure, he was 15 or whatever, but he drove fine. Like, Jeeps are pretty top heavy. They're pretty well known for flipping over, but that never happened, like he drove safe enough.
This 15-year-old was a very safe driver.
Anyways, so I brought this up to my dad, why did he always get angry at Jeremy for doing this with me? And my dad paused for a second. He said, well, it was a septic tank that had bust.
Oh.
You weren't driving in mud.
Oh, no.
He's like, that's why we were angry at him, is because he was caking his dad's Jeep and shit.
How would he not notice that? I just imagine the smell.
Well, I mean, I just thought it, like mud. I just thought
Yeah,
because
but
it had sat in the yard for so long. Maybe it was just like this putrid smelling mud.
yeah, but listen, if I was 15, I wouldn't willingly go just driving through shit.
I don't think Jeremy knew either.
Yeah, but like when you're 15, you should be able to realize that mud that smells like actual shit might be actual shit.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, surely, I mean, even if they had told me it was a septic tank when I was like 7 or 8, you know, I wouldn't have understood it. But as a 15-year-old, I probably would have. So I don't know. Maybe he thought it was funny enough to just like to eschew the.
Yeah, maybe he knew and he just wanted to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's possible. But I also remember like during the winter, it's pretty rare for Georgia to get much snow, but that winter it did. And I remember in retrospect walking over this frozen shit pond that was in my dad's yard. And I remember like obviously since I was small, like as I was going it was kind of cracking as I was walking, but if I took it slow it wouldn't do that. But my brother, being a bit heavier and also not quite as cautious as me, he would try to run across it, and sure enough at one point like his leg broke through it. And he had you know this mud all over his leg. Which now in retrospect I realize he just had shit caking his leg.
That's just not something you want.
Oh yeah, it's it's great.
But like, how do you achieve a frozen shit pond? And like, after you've achieved that, why would you want to go running across it?
Well, I mean, we didn't know that it was a frozen shit pond.
You don't feel like someone would have told you, "Oh, don't go in there. That's a literal pond made out of shit."
It's frozen. You can walk on it. It's fine.
Yeah, but clearly you'd also fall through it.
I didn't. I didn't fall through it. My
Well,
brother wanted to fall through it. Clearly.
That's good. I'm glad you never got caked in shit.
Yeah, I was the lucky one.
I'm glad you survived that awful event.
I got all the benefits of the frozen shit pond and none of the horrible drawbacks.
Which are a surprising amount when you think about it. People are very opposed to frozen shit ponds, but when you start to look into it, you realize that there might be some really useful things.
Yeah.
That comes with a frozen pond of shit.
For instance, walking on it.
Mm-hmm.
And driving through it with a Jeep. Those are the two benefits of a shit pond in the middle of your yard.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, septic tanks, they're not just for poop. So obviously, much of the water content there was urine.
Okay, so, all right, yeah, that's fair. It wasn't a frozen pond of shit. It was a frozen pond of shit and piss.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's my one like extremely redneck story that I have from living in Georgia.
The piss and shit pond.
Yeah. But luckily, after that, I moved on to much more productive things like using Ouija boards and talking to things that don't actually exist.
The ghost of the frozen shit pond.
Yeah.
Imagine, what if you were a ghost that drowned in that pond? Would you even want to come back and haunt someone? Because I feel like if I was that ghost, I'd be way too embarrassed by the way I had died to even try to come back and haunt someone.
Yeah, certainly there are some ways that like you don't want to die in a way that people will laugh about it. You know, there's a whole Wikipedia article that's just about like strange deaths that people have had.
Oh, I want to check that out.
There was one that I remember especially where it was
strange deaths. List
it
of
was
unusual
like,
deaths. Here we go.
yeah. A car hit a fire hydrant, which caused it to rocket into someone's face. Like the stream of water just caused it to shoot and slam into someone's face.
Jesus.
And that killed them. There was another one that I... So, as I recall, it was a man who... he was like a real estate agent or something for this apartment building. And to show how strong the windows were, he would run like full force at the window and throw his body against it.
That's smart.
Yeah. Now, this was to show that the window wouldn't shatter. But at one point, it didn't go right and he fell to his death. But the Wikipedia article made sure to mention that the window did not shatter, it popped out of its frame.
Well, I'm glad that the window company were very trusty. You can still trust them even though that guy's now dead. But I want to take a step back and say, if I ever went just looking at houses or apartments and the guy showing me around suddenly started throwing himself against the fucking window, I would not want to buy the house. Because clearly, the guy who's showing me around wants it fucking destroyed. He's trying to wreck my possibly my new window by throwing himself against it. Like, even if it's a really good window, you're still gonna fuck it up, mate.
And worse, you have to clean the finger and hand smudges off it, and the face smudge.
Yeah, and the blood of the payment.
Well, that was probably the city, to be fair.
Yeah,
city
but still, that's the value of the apartment is gonna go down quite a bit if you have an imprint of a realtor on the street.
I wonder if the glass shattered when it hit the ground. They didn't
No, they
that in the article.
They didn't inform us, so we can't be sure of the quality of the glass.
I mean, follow up.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd imagine that it held itself together, unlike the realtor.
Nice. Making me laugh at someone dying.
It's a pretty funny death.
I mean, in a way, like, that is kind of the point of that Wikipedia article.
Yeah, I really quite like the London beer flood, even though it's a horrific catastrophe where 7 people were killed, but they did drown in beer, which, I mean, if you come back as a ghost, you'd definitely be a drunk ghost if you drown in beer.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, would you just be drunk for eternity?
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Well, there you go. I mean, if there's a way you're gonna die.
Yeah. Might as well be a drunk
that's
ghost.
Not true for me. I don't like the idea of being drunk.
I mean, that's fine, but like for me, that'd be a pretty alright way to pass on, just drown in something I do quite enjoy drinking. Even though that is quite ironic.
Yeah. So all the people that like have died of just like alcohol poisoning.
No.
You think they're just...
That's not the same thing as drowning, in it. I don't want to make fun of alcoholism. Like, if you die of alcohol, I doubt these people died of the aftermath through alcohol poisoning, since it clearly says that they drowned in the flood.
That's true.
They didn't develop, like, liver damage afterwards. They drowned.
Yeah, that's fair. Although who knows what their liver was like, really. I mean, if they had enough to drown in it and they were possibly soaking in alcohol for a while.
It's like pickling. It was probably in prime condition once they found it.
That's true. I mean, alcohol is a like a cleaning agent, right?
Yeah. Even though you shouldn't use beer for that.
The doctors are like, "Oh, buddy, I've never seen a liver look this good." I think there was another death in that article. I think it was what was it? I think it was a film director who died by walking into helicopter blades on set.
Ooh.
Which I don't know how you do that. I feel like a spinning helicopter blade is something that's kind of hard to forget about as you're walking.
Boris Sagal, a film director, died while shooting the TV miniseries World War III when he walked into the tail rotor blade of a helicopter and was decapitated.
Like, how do you do that? You're just talking to someone on set like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna get myself like a caramel macchiato." Like, I really don't know how you walk into a helicopter rotor.
I mean, I'd assume it was backwards.
Backwards?
Yeah, as in he wasn't actively looking at the helicopter blade while walking into it.
Well, sure, but still, like, helicopters are so loud.
Yeah.
Like, how do you absent-mindedly do that?
I don't know, maybe he... I mean, it was the 80s, so he was probably high as fuck.
That's possible. Plus, it was World War III. Harrowing times.
That was really scary. I'm glad they were able to stop it at one helicopter.
Part of the reason that I brought up the ghost thing earlier was because you had something particularly interesting to talk about, as I recall.
I mean, I think it's a very important subject.
Probably. Perhaps the most important, like, philosophical question of our time.
Yeah, and considering our previous discussion, I think this is a great way to continue that in a different train of thought, and that is, how do you shag a ghost? Can you shag a ghost? Would you shag a ghost?
Well, if the question is would, the answer is yes. I mean, now let me be clear here. I'm not a total slut here. I wouldn't just shag any ghost. I wouldn't shag any ghost. Okay, it's got to be the right ghost. As for the how, now that's another question entirely. Actually, hang on. This might be a little bit interesting. I don't know if I can find it, but there was a famous man, I think he was a rapper, who actually he bought a mansion. He bought a mansion in Georgia.
Was it Ghost Dog?
No, not the Ghost Dog.
Was it Ghostface Killer?
No. That's
all the rappers like I know that have ghost in the name.
No. This isn't anything like that. It was a rapper who I think he bought a mansion here in Georgia, and he claimed that in the middle of the night a ghost mounted him and had sex with him. Gosh, I don't know if I can find it. All right, just riff on things and I'll try to find it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the obvious reference that comes to mind is Ghostbusters, where Dan Aykroyd gets his willy ectoplasmed by a ghost. But I think it's not a common enough subject within modern media. I think we need more. I think it's a subject that needs a lot more representation in today's film and TV scene.
Oh, I found it. Okay, it was a guy named Bobby Brown.
Oh, and I know of that guy.
Yeah, he's not a rapper. I don't think. I think he's actually he's a singer. Oh no, actually, looking at his Wikipedia article, it says American singer, songwriter, dancer, actor, and rapper.
Oh,
so I'm not just racist. Okay.
I mean,
Anyways, I'm glad I found that. I'm glad that I put that to rest.
Yeah,
That this was a real thing that I found.
he was Whitney Houston's husband for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I remember him from.
I didn't actually know much about Whitney Houston until she died.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fair. Even though her music is fantastic, I mean, she wasn't the biggest, like, individual, what do you call it, like, the most interesting celebrity. I guess it wasn't someone I followed. Not that I actually follow celebrities, but you get what I mean.
Right.
Although her music is fantastic.
Yeah, it was just kind of like it was one of those things where I was just like relaxing in my room while my mom's at work, and I got a call from her, and she was like, "Kirk, Whitney Houston's dead."
I thought your mom was calling you about Bobby Brown fucking a ghost.
No. No, not quite. Unfortunately, that would have been.
Did you hear about Bobby Brown and the ghost?
To be fair, I wouldn't have known who Bobby Brown was either, but that would have significantly piqued my interest a lot more.
Do you think that's why they split?
What's that?
Do you think that's why Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown got divorced?
I don't know. Like when did that?
In 2007, because he was ghost cheating on her.
Well, Whitney Houston, she died a good few years ago now, didn't she? It wasn't 2016, which is when this like report was uploaded to.
No,
ABC
she died in
News's.
2012, which was 5 years after their divorce.
So no, they didn't split because he had sex with a ghost. The ghost sex came along after. However,
I'm glad
she might be angry now.
Oh,
If ghosts are real, and he had sex with a ghost, then she might be upset about it right now. Although I would say that she should perhaps be angry at the ghost, because I don't think he could really do much.
That's true, and that goes into a whole other thing that maybe we shouldn't touch upon, which is ghost rape.
Yeah, so that's really, so what we're getting at basically is you cannot shag a ghost. You can be shagged by a ghost.
I mean, I think it can be a mutual mutual agreement upon which you enjoy each other's company.
Sure, but I mean, like it still gets to, you only have so much autonomy in this. Like, you can either be okay with it or not okay with it, and in either case, there's not much you can do about it. Like,
yeah, I suppose
you're either going to be into it or you're not.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've read enough literature on the subject to know that sometimes it goes well, sometimes
succubus as well.
Yeah, but I think that's more of a, at least you can see the succubus.
Can you?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't have any first-person experience, or first-hand experience, but through the various novels and paintings that I've enjoyed throughout the years, I've come to the conclusion that you can indeed see them, but that's about all you can do.
Now, you listen to me. I have seen many episodes of Ghost Adventures, and there was one where there was a succubus, and I did not see it, but he certainly felt it.
I don't even remember that episode.
Wait. I do. They got like a witch basically to summon a succubus, and what's his name? Zach Bagans was like laying on the ground.
Oh.
And he was just like describing the sensations he was feeling.
That was just ripping off Dan Aykroyd.
What's that?
He was just ripping off Dan Aykroyd.
Possibly. I don't know. But God, that show is like retroactively extremely funny to watch now that I don't believe in ghosts.
Oh, right.
Like at the time, it was obviously like it was super cool, like all the evidence they got and stuff. But now in retrospect, I see it, and it's like, you know, just the way they talk, where I don't know, you know, you just see Zach Bagans standing at the top of a staircase, like, "Come on, push me down! Come on, do it!
I dare you, bro."
Yeah,
push
and then
him
like
down, Ghost. I dare you.
You see his
Come
body
on,
like
Ghost.
quake, and he's like, "Yeah, that's good. Do it. Come on!" Like,
you wanna push this axe on my head like you did to all the other people? You wanna push? You wanna push me down the stairs?
It's so great. Like, not being a believer now, it makes it like a much funnier show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was already kind of funny, just like the chemistry that the team had with each other. But then when you add like the whole thing that they're basically just talking to themselves,
that they're just yelling at each other.
Yeah. They're just yelling at each other, and then like they're just like, "Oh shit, man, it's cold in this room."
It's a ghost. The ghost turned down the temperature. Oh.
Is that you, Dr. Facility? You know, like just saying out random names of people who died. Oh man.
Is that you? No. Okay.
It's also like, God, the great thing is the, what's it called? The ghost box.
Oh yeah, the one that goes through just various radio signals.
Exactly, and it's so great because just the way that the ghost box works, because it's flipping through radio signals, and like it's making all these like white noise clicky noises and stuff as it's cycling through, and then you'll just get like one word. But like there's some cases where I've seen where a word will come out of it, and it's very obviously like it sounds like a name from a song, and they react to it, and they're like, "Oh my god, it said Julia." But like the ghost box, it literally, like the way it says, it's like Julia, and then it's like it's so obviously just from a song, dude. Like you're reacting to nothing.
The person that lived here must have been a very frequent karaoke singer. This is very clearly the kind of musician ghost that we see in this kind of Chatterbox. Not Chatterbox, what's it called?
Ghostbox.
Ghostbox. It's clearly a musician ghost. You can hear it with the melodic tone and the steady drum beat.
Chatterbox would be ridiculous. It's a ghost box. Come on.
The ghost is playing a sweet solo.
It was Adrian, right? Did I already forget your name?
No, yes,
okay.
You're right.
I had a long pause and I said Adrian, then I was like, wait, I'm not sure that was it.
What if just you were haunted by a musician ghost, but it was a really bad one? So
are his instruments ghosts too?
Yeah, it has ghost instruments because that's... Yeah, sure. It has ghost instruments, but it just really sucks at them.
Well, I tell you what, that brings a whole new meaning to soul music.
Oh. That's
that was my one terrible joke of the of the episode.
If that's what you call a terrible joke, then I don't want to know.
I imagine it being more akin to like a guitarist who's just now learning, and he like tries to play a song, but he messes up a part of it. He's like, no, wait, and then he starts over.
Every night you'd hear Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, wait, hang on.
Where's that coming from? My God.
Hang on, I'll get it.
The fucking ghost went up playing Wonderwall. Help!
That would be an amazing joke in like a horror movie. You know, it'd be like a scene where all the people are in a room and they start hearing the piano play, and then, you know, someone's just like,
"Oh my God, I know that song. It's Eric Sadie's Genopodie #1, and it's really bad."
It's just like every like seventh note or something is off. It's just like the ghost is playing the song, but they don't really know it.
Yeah, they heard the song, but they don't have the sheet, but they're just trying to imitate how it worked every night.
Great.
This house is haunted by a really tone-deaf ghost.
Now, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about. I mentioned the Ouija board thing before. So yeah, when I was like, I guess I was probably 14 or so when I first started getting like really interested in the paranormal. And I had a Ouija board. And around that time, I started watching a lot of just like paranormal shows like Ghost Adventures, but also just like paranormal videos, YouTube channels, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And when it came to Ouija board videos, there was one name that was like really well known, which was a YouTube channel called Mad Hobbit, which doesn't exist anymore. It was run by this guy by the name of James Cole, or Jamie as he was called. And being that I was homeschooled and didn't have much to do, at one point I decided to like look him up on Facebook, and I found him. And I added him. And to me that was really cool. You know, it was like, oh man, one of my favorite YouTubers, he's here, added to my Facebook, and I'd like sent him Facebook messages, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was cool. And we were just talking a bunch, and now obviously being, again, like a 14-year-old homeschooled, there's three things technically that I love doing. It's watching paranormal stuff, playing video games, and watching way too much porn.
Sometimes all three together.
Yeah, of course. So, being that I'm talking to this guy and am a horny 14-year-old, I just start like nonchalantly, you know, talking about porn and stuff. And he didn't really shy away from it, which to me was really cool because, you know, I'm homeschooled. Who am I going to talk to about any kind of perverted stuff? My mom? No, you know, no. I'm not really going to do that. So I thought it was, you know, really cool that I had this guy whose work I admired and who, you know, didn't shy away talking about that kind of thing. And eventually he disappeared. And the people who were fans of him, we thought that he was probably just like traveling the world, because he did that a lot. He would go on like trips to India, and I think he went to Japan at a couple of places, stuff like that. Like he traveled all over the world, and he really like he uploaded pictures a lot of just like all the different countries he's been through. So we assumed, you know, he was just off traveling the world, and that's why he had disappeared. And eventually I kind of forgot about this. But a few years later, I think I was probably 17 or 18, I thought about it again, and I tried finding his Facebook, and his Facebook was gone.
Ooh.
And so then I tried Googling his name, and I narrowed down my searches to the UK, and I found something. And I'm going to link this to you, and I'd like you to read the first, third, and fourth paragraphs of this.
Oh no.
Read it aloud.
No, I'm not sure I want to. I had a really good joke, but now I just kind of don't even want to.
Come on, go ahead.
This is a Freddy Rayleigh.
What's that?
This is a Freddy Rayleigh.
Yeah.
Well, here I go. March 2014. This is James Cole, 39, from Exeter. Last year, this already convicted paedophile walked free from court after being caught with over 2 million indecent images of children in his possession. James Cole walks around the riverside area of Exeter and Exeter St David's train station with Stogs. Where there are families with young children, nobody knows who he is. People talk to him and pay special attention to his dogs, if only they knew. What fucking site is this, by the way?
Yeah. So this is the UK database, which is
for crimes against kids. Also, It was made in 2002, and someone had just discovered clip art.
Yeah. Now, I do want to point out that the reason that I specifically chose this site is because the only like official publication that I could find that talked about this was the Mirror. .co.uk, and as I talked to some people who live in the UK,
respected and always honest publication.
Exactly. So I didn't want to use the Mirror because obviously it's like a tabloid, and people like I asked some people who lived in the UK, you know, what the thoughts on it were, and they said that the Mirror wasn't, you know, that trustworthy or respected of a source.
Not very
but
good.
Also I looked into it more. And the picture that they have on the Mirror, and also just like a bunch of the things that the Mirror article talks about, are just like straight taken from this website.
Oh.
So the picture that they use on the Mirror one of James Cole is not actually on this site anymore, but it was. That's why the first paragraph says this is James Cole 39, because they had his picture, but now it's not there for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like the UK database, as I understand it, actually took the picture that is on the Mirror website, despite the fact that it attributes the image to the Sunday Mirror, which isn't true, apparently.
No, and this leaves a lot to... This adds a lot to your interaction with this guy being about pornography when you were a young lad.
Yeah.
But the question I'm left with is, are ghosts related to what happened?
I mean, possibly. The two names that he talked about most frequently in terms of like ghosts that were supposedly haunting his house were a young boy named Martin and strangely Jeremy Wade Dell, who is the subject of the Pearl Jam song Jeremy, I think. He claimed that he haunted his house as well, which is interesting because he lived in the UK, and Jeremy Wade Dell, I think, was in Texas, I think, something like that. I can't quite remember, but it was in the United States, as I recall. So I don't know. I guess he's a very... Oh, yeah. There's one thing I forgot about, too. The day after Michael Jackson died, he uploaded a video where he was claiming Michael Jackson was haunting his house.
That leaves a lot to various theories.
Yeah, it does. And, like, there was even a line, you know, from his ghost box where, like, it seemed like it was talking about... Jeremy and Martin, and like a ghost was saying like they don't like Michael.
I mean, I can't imagine them liking him either. After the shit he had.
Yeah. I don't know. It certainly, I don't know. There's certainly a lot there to think about in terms of like I literally interacted with the UK's biggest pedophile in I don't even know how many years. But here's perhaps like the worst part of it. He was never imprisoned.
Oh.
The judge who was judging him deemed that for whatever reason it was in the public's best interest that he doesn't go to prison. I don't know what the thought process there is. But yeah, so he walked free after having the largest pedophile stash in UK history.
Well, yikes.
Yeah, it says right here in this paragraph, Cole currently holds the vile record of the biggest collection of indecent images of children ever found in the possession of one person in UK history.
You think that's something that Guinness World Records are interested in?
Probably not. I don't think so.
I mean,
I don't think that's something they want people to try to break.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but if you come to them with that claim, I doubt they'd want proof.
You know what I never thought about until now?
What?
All of his PCs were sieged, or by the police. They were taken and obviously studied in great detail. The police might have found his conversations with me on Facebook.
I thought you were gonna say his conversations with Michael Jackson's ghost.
No. But like the police might have found and read his conversation with me, over Facebook.
Yeah, possibly.
That's weird to think about.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really bizarre for me to think about that. Like, I might have been a piece of evidence.
Yeah.
For
oh yeah,
for this guy.
That's true.
That's true. I only ever thought about that in terms of like my connection with him. I never thought about it in terms of like being potential evidence used against him. Although, to be fair, judging by what it sounds like, the videos in his possession were, my conversation was probably just a drop in the bucket, like not even remotely as heinous as all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. We
talked about ghosts, talked about dying people, talked about having sex with a ghost, and we've talked about a pedophile.
Yeah.
Lovely, isn't it?
That's quite a diverse discussion.
I'd say so. I don't know what I'm going to title this remotely.
Yeah, me neither. At this point, I have no idea.
I'd say that's probably a pretty strong first episode. What about you?
Yeah.
We went into a lot of places.
We've clearly established the tone after today's various topics.
We're fine talking about pedophiles and dying people and laughing about it.
Yeah, great fun. I also think that this was a good first session, just when it comes to the flow.
All right. Well, I guess we'll call it there.
Yeah, I guess we'll call that episode number... the first one with me.
There's the title. It's like episode number the first one with light.
Yeah.
Or Adrian, whatever.
Yeah, that's
right,
sweet.
Well, to all of the no one who's listening out there, thank you very much for listening. And
including Fino's mum.
Yes, of course.
I hope
she probably doesn't know that pedophile story, so maybe if she actually does listen to
this, maybe
she'll find out.
Maybe you wouldn't want her to know about you interacting with a pedophile when you were a kid.
It was a big fear of hers that I would eventually interact with a pedophile with all the talking online that I did, and sure enough, it turns out that her fears were realized.
Yeah.
And luckily, he lived across the world.
Yeah, but
and also got jailed before.
All fresh parents in the world remember that pedophiles are stalking your kids right now.
They are.
Including ghosts. The dangers of being a kid.
You can't win in today's world. You got to worry about pedophiles, and more so you have to worry about ghosts.
Man.
Sexual deviance.
It's a harsh
throughout
world.
time. All right.
Well, thanks for listening. And
thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for sticking around if you managed to.